So Elon Musk is shifting gears for AI on Tesla. So I know that pun's intended, but imagine pouring billions of dollars into groundbreaking AI supercomputer project, only to pivot entirely because the tech landscape has evolved so fast. So could this bold move redefine Tesla's future, or will it signal deeper challenges in AI hardware? So as someone who's navigated tech shifts for decades, I'm asking, what happens when even Elon Musk decides to scrap a flagship initiative like Dojo and bet on something radically different? How does this change the game for autonomous driving and synthetic data? These questions are keeping industry leaders awake at night, and we're going to dive in deep into Tesla's AI overhaul. Let's dive into this together here today. Welcome to Startup Pack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Pack, we love train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. So Tesla's AI pivot under Elon Musk isn't just a tweak. It's a full rethink that could reshape how people build intelligent systems. So just like these questions that I raised earlier, this shift focuses us to examine if specialized hardware is still king or if versatility wins the day. So we're going to break this down today and go into some of the key points on this latest development. So let's jump over here and look at some articles here that we've got going here. So Tesla shuts down Dojo supercomputer team to streamline chip design. So CEO Elon Musk ordered the company disband its Dojo supercomputer team, which had been designed and using its D1 chips to train its self-driving and AI models. It doesn't make sense for Tesla to divide its resources and scale two quite different AI chips, Musk said. The Tesla AI 5 and AI 6 subsequent chips will be excellent for inference at least pretty good for training. Tesla plans to increase to the increasing workload outside of companies like NVIDIA and AMD, right? Musk also runs AI company xAI, which has its own supercomputer and substantial business relationships with Tesla. He recently said his electric vehicle company should invest in AI. Now, there's a lot of other shifts going on here, right? Because Elon Musk also confirmed that Tesla has signed a $16.5 billion chip contract with Samsung Electric, right? So he confirmed that he signed this big contract, and he said Samsung did not name the counterparty, but said that the effective start date of the contract would be July 26, 2025. So, like, this is already passed, right? And it would end in December 31st of 2033. That's a long contract. Now, Samsung, which is set to deliver earnings, was expecting its profit to be more than half. So Samsung is really in trouble right now, and it sounds like Musk helped bail them out, especially with a U.S. plant, right? Their U.S. plant wasn't doing anything. So my guess is that Elon got this for pretty cheap, right? Because Samsung has been having it really rough lately. And let me see if I can find it here. Let's find it here. There was the company shares rose 6%. Surprise on the trade, right? Because this is a huge opportunity, and if nothing else, it's with Elon Musk and Tesla. Now, Sawyer Merritt, if you know Sawyer, but he says it sounds like the dedicated Dojo chip that was previously in development is no longer development, but they're creating a new version of Dojo built on AI 5/AI 6, hardware 5 or hardware 6. So right now, Teslas are shipping with hardware 4, right? So if you just bought a Cybertruck or a new Model Y, you're getting hardware 4 on these, right? And future trips, which thanks to big performance upgrades, will at least meet some of Tesla's needs. And so they're going to use these. It's also worth noting that Elon's comment that most training in the future will be inference for the sole purpose of training, aka synthetic data generation. Now, I think this is actually one of the interesting moves that's written in here is the sole purpose of training, or like being synthetic data generation. That's an interesting move. And I mean, Elon obviously knows, a thing or two about AI and about generation and that kind of stuff. But man, with model collapse and all this other stuff, I'm really interested to see what this is, because so far we've not been able to successfully generate synthetic data. That's been one of the things that's been true on AI so far. So Elon's trying to skate to the puck here somewhat. But Sawyer says, I think what Elon is saying here is the future, a lot of training process won't involve gathering and processing massive new real-world data sets. Instead, it will rely on inference from existing models to create artificial data. And so that's an interesting move by Elon to really go after this training data, right? This is what he's talking about, this thing, the synthetic data here, right? But Elon says in a supercomputer cluster, it would make sense to put many AI5, AI6 chips on a board, whether in inference or training, simply to reduce network cabling complexity and cost a few orders of magnitude. One could call that Dojo 3, I suppose. So Dojo 2 is what was currently what they were building on top of. The latest one was Dojo 2, which is what's been doing the neural network training for the latest FSD 13 and 14. And now it sounds like they're just going to try to strap as many of these AI 5 and AI 6 chips to a board, which does make sense. I've kind of always wondered why we build, racks and racks and racks of servers rather than just build out larger servers. And it sounds like Elon's come to kind of the same thought process, right? And another interesting comment on this is Phil Truby said, another example of Elon's ruthless and effective executive skills. Making such a decision isn't easy, and it's a real psychic toll on Elon, but Elon always does what he thinks is the right thing for the company regardless. This is part of the reason why Elon's always been worth the money that he gets out of his stock, right? Because these kind of decisions are the kind of decisions that a company like Intel and possibly even Apple right now aren't making. They're not making some of these ruthless decisions. And when I say ruthless, I don't mean ruthless just like making heads roll. I'm talking about ruthless technically, right? So Tesla's halted development on its dedicated Dojo chip, choosing instead to streamline its efforts around the existing hardware to come to one. Now, this has always been one of Elon's, main points, right? Try to figure out what you're doing, reduce the number of parts. Like this has been true for Tesla as long as Tesla's existed. It's one of the core foundations that Tesla was built on. So it doesn't surprise me that Elon's coming back to this process where he's saying, hey, why in the world am I building these two different types of chips? Let's get the AI 5, this AI 6 chip, just sign this big contract with Samsung, right? And I mean, a $16 billion contract goes out to 2033. Like that's a big, long contract. Why not go all in on that? So, it's the same thing that has made him successful with Tesla. And I think he's going to just rinse and repeat a lot of this. Now, critics are pointing out the sunk cost in Dojo, but pivoting early is, he's looking out to 2033 on these, right? I think this is actually pretty early, that I don't think the amount of money he's sunk on the cost is much that Elon's losing sleep over. I don't think Elon loses a whole lot of sleep over losing money in general, but it's like debugging a massive code base. Sometimes you refactor it entirely just to make things run smoother. Now, Elon highlights that the jump from AI 4 to AI 5 outperforms any chip upgrade he's encountered, emphasizing real world impact. Now, as somebody who owns an AI 4, hardware 4 Tesla, I'm a little sad to hear that because, man, now I want the upgrade to AI 5 and it doesn't even exist yet. But these chips excel at inference while holding their own in training, which is going to blur the line between specialized hardware roles. Now, Tesla's strategy now prioritizes versatile design that handle diverse workloads without custom overhauls. Now, so drawing from my experience optimizing developer tools, this approach mirrors how we integrate APIs to boost productivity without reinventing the wheel. So really the humor here though is that it's like upgrading from a clunky old laptop to a beast that runs everything. No more waiting for renders. Now I hope everybody really liked my title because I was really proud of it when I said that Tesla is shifting gears, right? Get it? The pun intended. So anyway, sorry. Terrible joke. My kids yell at me all the time for my dad jokes. But this could actually set a benchmark for how AI hardware evolves. Now, if your company is trying to evolve and it's struggling to evolve, reach out to us because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is to help you get your systems connected so your company can work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer. We'd love to help you out. Now, Musk predicts that the future of training will lean heavily on inference to generate synthetic data. And I think this is a really interesting move because so far we've not been able to produce synthetic data. Now, the interesting thing about this is the model of the way Teslas work is really interesting to this. So the way that a Tesla works is, and you can see this when you're doing full self-driving or just when you're driving around on a Tesla, you can see on the screen where it's taking every object that's out there, it identifies the object and puts it onto the screen, right? And so sometimes my kids laugh because every single truck looks like a Cybertruck or something, thereabouts on the little visualization screen. But while it's doing that, what it's doing is it's actually going around and identifying. So the hardware on the onboard on the Tesla itself is actually just identifying every object that's out in front of you. Then if it doesn't know one of these objects, is actually sending it back to the mothership, taking images and videos and things of that object, sends it back to the mothership, and the mothership then does the heavy lifting to actually dig through this, then identifies the model, adds it to its repertoire, and these are what get pushed as part of the FSD updates. So, right now, the last count that I'd heard, Tesla has something like 17,000 objects identified that it can do. And so what the onboard hardware is actually doing is actually just a lot of vision processing to identify objects and then, keep them identified in the real world model in front of you. So this shift is going to be interesting because it's akin to using a simulator in coding boot camps to train without real world risks. So I think what they're going to be doing for Tesla is they're going to be able to start saying, okay, cool, this is a dog. Now, what does a cat look like? And start to infer, right, the inference of what that cat might look like based on a series of prompts or descriptions. And so this is where they can then also put together situations where they can actually start putting things into it and then start training the FSD to go through these situations. I'm guessing this is how they're going to do it because so far, any other type of AI systems have not been successful at creating synthetic data. So when he says synthetic data, I think he's talking about synthetic worlds where you could invariably have the FSD car driving through these synthetic situations literally to an infinite amount. Because so far, and that's what I think he means mostly to this, because it can't actually create new data otherwise, right? I think what they're going to work on doing is creating new situations. And if you think about this from an FSD type of perspective, or if you're thinking about this with the new robots coming, right? With Optimus, the robots coming, this is where you could start to do that because you could build worlds where Optimus is going to start moving around and then do that without actually having to have the training data. So I think that's what they're trying to go for with this. And this would be my guess on where they're starting to move this, right? Because this would divide the efforts between Dojo and other chips and would really see a huge efficiency gain. So Elon even quipped about calling this cluster the AI5 AI6 boards called Dojo 3, a nod to evolving without even starting from scratch, right? So ultimately, this frees up resources for faster deployment in vehicles and clusters. Now, if your company, again, has systems that aren't deployed and you're struggling to get deployments faster or your dev team's struggling, reach out to us because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems so your company can work to maximum efficiency. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer. We'd love to help you out. Now, I'm really excited to see where this hardware is going to go and what Elon's going to do with this, because I think, if he says this jump to the AI5 chip is that big of a jump, then I'm really interested to see what this is. Now, key figures like Pete Bannon are departing as Dojo teams wind down, marking a really bittersweet transition. Elon described making hard personnel choices once paths converge on AI6. This ruthless focus on efficiency has been praised as other people have looked at this tough decision making. Now, in my times as a fractional CTO, I've navigated really hard decisions. Generally speaking, when I've made those hard decisions, looking back on them, I've been glad that I did. So overall, I think this underscores Tesla's agility, even for the size of the company that it is, which is pretty amazing. And I think this is one of the differences to what we're seeing with Apple, what we've seen before with IBM, what we're seeing with Intel, right? Intel needed to make this kind of ruthless decision years ago, and they didn't. And I think these are the kind of things that are going to keep Tesla relevant for the next 10 to 20 years. So I'm personally a pretty big Tesla bull, if you can't tell, both on the company as well as on their products. I love their products, own some Teslas myself. Tesla ultimately is going to shift its signals that custom AI hardware might not always justify the investment when off the shelf will work rapidly, or in this case, a simplified one. So the deal with Samsung for manufacturing efficiency hits at deeper vertical integration. Now, founders, take note. Anytime when you pivot, you want to pivot when tech converges or risk evolutionary dead ends. I recently was looking at something with AI, and there was this AI degree being offered at a university, and it was a 4-year degree in AI. And I was thinking back to what we were doing with AI 4 years ago, totally irrelevant, right? The market is shifting and moving this quickly. So it's pretty interesting to see what Elon's doing here, because I think he's trying to see out to the future and make some of these tough choices. Now, Tesla's $16.5 billion pact with Samsung goes beyond just chips, and it's going to focus on joint manufacturing optimizations. So it isn't a coincidence that the manufacturing line is not all that far from Tesla's headquarters. So I kind of want to jump over to this other thread that was on X that I found was really interesting here. So Tesla and Samsung just signed a $16.5 billion AI pact. It's not about chips or cash. It's about one move that will decide which AI company survives the next decade and which disappear. So here's what the next 10, and this guy's predicting the next 10 years. Now, I'm not going to say that this is perfectly or spot on, but I think it's a really interesting take and one that I think we could all take a look at. So he says, see, while everyone is obsessed with AI models and chatbots, the real battle is happening in silicon, right? The dirty secret is that AI companies are hitting a massive bottleneck that could kill innovation. And so Musk just showed everyone the only way through it. Here's what most people missed about the Samsung Tesla deal. Samsung's Texas plant was essentially dead, no major customers, delayed operations, bleeding money. Then Tesla shows up with a radical proposition that changes the entire game. Instead of just buying chips, Tesla will help Samsung maximize manufacturing efficiency. So I love this because we know that Elon's good at maximizing manufacturing efficiency. He's proven this. Rivian, Lucid, others have not been able to produce the level of efficiency in their models that Tesla has. They make money on every vehicle that comes off the line. Every other electric vehicle maker out there is losing money. Musk himself will walk the production line. There you go. This radical new partnership model signals three massive shifts every founder needs to understand. First, vertical integration is no longer optional for AI leaders. The old model was simple. Design your product, outsource manufacturing, focus on software. That model just died because AI chips need constant iteration between design and manufacturing. Tesla's AI 4 and 5 and Net 6 chips each require different optimizations. You can't achieve this without traditional vendor relationships. Now, Tesla designed AI 6 chips specifically for their needs. So this is what's amazing. They haven't even started shipping the AI 5 chips yet, and they're already working on AI 6. This shows the emphasis and the massive ruthlessness that you've got to have for R&D, or else you get left behind. So both companies sharing knowledge to optimize production, and it's about create massive opportunities. The second chip is the death of chip monopolies. For years, a handful of companies controlled AI chip production. Intel. Limited capabilities mean limited innovation, but the CHIPS Act just pumped a bunch of money into Samsung's factory. So now there's excess manufacturing capacity, and so you see a lot of people jumping in. Intel, TSMC, and other building massive factories. Smart AI startups can now negotiate deals that were impossible even 2 years ago. The third one is geographic concentration creates unprecedented collaboration. Samsung's Taylor plant is near Austin. Tesla's headquarters is in Austin. Musk can literally drive to the fab in minutes. And that's, I think these are interesting things to take a look at, right? And I don't think any of this is being lost on Elon Musk. I think he probably was able to negotiate a really good deal because Samsung was really hurting and that factory was just sitting there mostly empty. But I think that this is going to be an interesting shift with Musk talking about synthetic data. I want to see more about that, and I'm definitely going to be watching that very closely. But so I've seen a lot of different data strategies evolve, but the pivot emphasizes inference's role in training, which is going to be really interesting from where we're sitting today. Ultimately, it's about generating value from data, not just hoarding it. And that's kind of what we see right now. We see ChatGPT 5 release and OpenAI trying to grab just as many users as they can to get as much data as they can. That's not going to cut for long. It will buy something for OpenAI for a time, but as we saw with the GPT-5 release, which has been an absolute and utter failure, and if you don't understand that, check out yesterday's video. Or 2 days ago, sorry, I don't even know what day of the week it is. But if we look at that, you can see that this is going to be a hard hit. So we can definitely see unifying chip design, slashing development costs. Cluster reduces network overhead, right? And this is going to be an interesting thing as they start to stack more and more and more onto chips and reduce less, right? Because when you're doing AI training as well as the AI actual querying, it's all about memory bandwidth because it's how wide of a context window, how much data can you fit across that bus. And so it's not just about how much memory is on that chip, it's about how wide, how much can you move through, right? So we're going to see faster innovation cycles without fragmented effort. So this inference-driven synthetic training data could dominate. That's going to be an interesting move to watch, making training more accessible and less resource intensive. This is going to blur training and inference, potentially revolutionizing model development. And I think we're going to see this. I think we're going to need to see this level of R&D to see AI move forward. Now, Tesla's Dojo 3 concept lives on through adapted hardware proving adaptability's power. Some see risks in over-relying on synthetics for critical apps like driving. But I've seen this before, and I've advertised on similar tech pivots. Focus on what delivers real utility. I tell my developers all the time, solve the real problems, not the perceived problems, right? Now, in the end, this really could accelerate AI across industries. But execution is everything. But if you know Elon Musk, he is king at execution. Now, if your company has systems that aren't executing and they're not connected, reach out to us because our specialty is helping systems get connected. Because here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. And here's some great information about our service.
Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment. Perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out Startup Hack.